What's good, Cubers? It's your boy Matt. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's Card of the Week time. So without any further ado, let's get started. This week's Card of the Week is a new Rakdos spiciness I've talked about a little bit in other videos, but she's getting her own video today, and that's Judith the Scourge Diva. For 1 in Rakdos, you get a legendary creature human shaman. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith the Scourge Diva deals 1 damage to any target. Now, Judy buffing the attack of all of your creatures might seem like a minor effect, but I find it's actually really huge in terms of combat and what your creatures get to trade with. Trading is super important with your side of the board because Judy allows you to deal 1 damage to any target when that creature dies. And that juicy part of any target is so good. Kill a planeswalker, deal an extra damage, help your creatures trade up, deal it to your opponent's face. Your opponent wipes the board so you hit them for 3 or 4. Judy just does it all. Now, I can hear some of you behind your screens going, but Matt, she doesn't work with tokens. Well, she kind of does. Her buff still buffs tokens, and so when you're in your aggressive deck and you're making your little 1/1 spirit tokens or your little 1/1 goblin tokens, Judith does make them all substantially more dangerous and harder for your opponent to block. Because when your regular creatures die, you can sling damage across the board to help kill whatever blocked your tokens. So, even though she doesn't trigger on tokens, she's still really good and doesn't just go in the Aristocrats deck. She slots great into any kind of Rakdos aggro deck as well. Let me show you just a little taste of what Judy can do in a regular game. Okay, so you and your opponent sit down, y'all roll the dice, you shuffle up, and you get to go first. So turn 1, you open your hand, you play a mountain, and you cast Goblin Guide. It has haste, you swing in, hit your opponent for 2, and pass the turn. Your opponent plays a land, maybe it comes in tapped, maybe they don't have a 1-drop, none of that's uncommon, and they pass the turn back to you. So you untap Goblin Guide, you play another land, and you cast Earthshaker Kenra or some other red 2-drop, and you turn your boys sideways again. This time you've dealt 6 damage to your opponent so far this game, and you pass the turn. Your opponent plays another land or plays a mana rock, doesn't have a 2-drop creature. Again, this is not necessarily uncommon. And you untap, start your turn, and play Judy. Then you turn your board sideways and get in for 6. Now, for those of you playing along at home, that means your opponent's life is now 8. They've had 2 turns and they're almost dead. If they were to wipe your board, you would deal them 3 more and they would be at 5. Next turn, you play another creature, turn your board sideways again, and bring your opponent down to lightning bolt range, even if they have blockers at this point. Judy changes combat math dramatically. Next turn, even if your opponent plays another creature, you're coming in and you're gonna land 3, putting your opponent at 5. Judy is just so good and so flexible. The fact that if they kill your creatures, you don't care because you're still going to deal 3 more. You're in the aggro deck. You're, pedal to the metal. Judy is awesome. And this scenario that you're seeing right here is not uncommon. You could have any red 1 hasty. You could have Monastery Swiftspear. Now, I grant you, she's not as good as Goblin Guide, obviously, but she has haste and you start getting in damage. You don't have to have Earthshaker Kenra. You could have a card like the Stormblood Berserker and still be pressing for similar damage. Judy is really, really good. So let's take a minute and look at the Rakdos section of cubes and see some of the cards that people are playing and seeing if we can find a space for Judy. Kolaghan's Command, Dreadbore, and Terminate are all pretty common in Rakdos section, and they're all just generic removal spells. I don't really like generic removal in my guild sections. I like cards that tell drafters what to do. They're called guidepost cards. So I love a good guidepost card. And Judy says to your drafters, hey, play Rakdos aggro, play Rakdos Aristocrats. You can build a deck here. And so Kolaghan's Command, Dreadbore, and Terminate are all really good. I don't know that I want to cut Kolaghan's Command, but Dreadbore and Terminate, you can pull those out. There's enough removal in red and black that you don't have to have both of these, and you can play Judy in one of these slots. Let me show you what my current Rakdos package looks like. I'm playing 2 cards along with Judy in Rakdos Cackler and Fireblade Artist. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Cackler, but him and the Artist and Judy, along with the other 2 Rakdos cards I'm running, send a clear message to my drafters that Rakdos aggro is a thing. And the Fireblade Artist and Judy send a clear message that Rakdos sacrifice is a thing as well. So, playing cards with the Fireblade Artist, I can sack a creature during my upkeep, deal 2, that'll trigger Judy, deal another. There's a lot of good value to be had right there. But let's get to Judy's grade, shall we? Judy is a good cube card that at this point, she's been in my cube long enough, I think everyone should be playing her. I rate Judy as a solid A. Judith is staple status. You should be playing her. I know she doesn't trigger off tokens, and I don't care. She's still amazing. Give Judith a try. After all, she's not going to hurt your wallet. Judith is only $1.34. That's right, this amazing card is $1.34, and she will give your Rakdos section a real identity and show your drafters what it is they should be doing in those colors. Well, that's going to do it for today, Cubers. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things. If there's a card you want us to look at for Card of the Week, leave it in the comments below. And until next time, as always, shuffle up and keep cubing, my friends.